to the Flower Files. This week you get just Lizzie, just me on my lonesome. But we are going to talk about something a little bit more serious than ghosts and pumpkins and fall things and things like that. As much fun as they are, I will tell you that depression after the wedding is definitely something that will hit you unexpectedly. And I'm going to talk about this kind of in the sense of like work life and being a floral designer in the wedding world and being married this past June. I'm currently hiding in my closet because I can give you guys the best sound possible because we've had a little busy day at work, but that means that it's good things. So I feel like there's a lot of stigma on social media about when we talk about depression and wedding stuff and what it's supposed to be. Bottom line, the wedding is about you and your best friend, your second half, the person you're marrying, no matter who you are, your perspectives on marriage. It should be a way for you guys to show off who you are, invite the people that you want and you love. If you want 10 people, do 10 people. If you want 300, do 300. If you're on a budget, do it on a budget. Set your priorities straight with what you want. But I thought it would be interesting for me to talk about this just because I'm a floral designer in the floral industry, and there are some technical work, like floral things that I probably would have changed. And I think I was expecting this to happen in the, like, kind of in the first place, but I guess I expected it and I didn't because I thought what I chose was going to be the best thing in the entire world and things like that. Now, I loved my ceremony. Ceremony was perfect under the tree. I'll put a couple pictures of this in our Instagram so that you guys can flip through and see what the ceremony and the reception looked like. If anything, I think it was more stressful to me in the floral world, especially on my end, because I'm aware of all of the options that are out there and the weddings that I've seen go through my hands, the weddings that I've seen built, and people's expectations are different, but I wanted to leave like a memorable mark on, wow, like 20 years from now, wow, I can't believe that I did that and I still love it like to this day when I'm like 50 or something. And I love what I do, and being a creative mind, it just made that much of a difference to make sure that I had that impact, and not necessarily for everybody else. For me, like I wanted that. Wow, like I can't believe I did that and that's mine. Um so I think I definitely surpassed that. At least on my end, I know I did. And I got plenty of compliments and all of that, and I find it more appreciative than anyone and anything that I could thank for with the family and the friends that were there with us. We had about 50 people. We kept it very small, and just kind of went from there. Other than that, I think we would have eloped if we didn't have 50 people, but I love my family and our close friends a little bit too much to do that, so I'm glad that we went with that. Um, so I've written a little bit of an outline. I have a couple questions up here, and I'll probably tweak some of them, especially because I'm like the floral designer. I'm not necessarily just, you know, like a generic bride. Like I had the venue contacts. I knew who I was going to use before I was even engaged. Like I knew from a T exactly who I wanted to use. Um, First question, is it normal to be depressed after the wedding? Absolutely. I still to this day, I mean, I'm in the wedding industry, so of course I'm going to miss it. I miss that, I guess, expectation or that thrill of planning the wedding and still making it like feel like magic. Like to me, especially with setting up weddings, seeing how different things work, comments from other people, going to weddings and seeing what people say, um, just that like that end wow factor, at least like for myself, of it made that much of a difference. Like that was mine and no one had done that kind of thing. And of course, bringing your Pinterest to life and doing all of those things. But yeah, I think it's totally normal to be depressed because you've spent months or a couple of years trying to get things situated and straight, and don't get me wrong, weddings. I love my job and all of that, but it is at the end of the day just for a day. I don't know how some of these brides, and props to them if they have the money, to go spend like a week in Bora Bora or Greece or something like that. Power to those women because they're definitely doing something that I'm not, but I don't think that's necessarily my style. I didn't want that crazy kind of intense because I was already on top of work, and I guess I knew where I was comfortable and what I wanted my expectations to be. I have a fairly small circle anyway, so I didn't want anything that was massive or kind of like in your face because that's just not my personality anyway. Um, and another question is, how long do post-wedding blues last? I mean, I think for me, the excitement still was in the air afterwards, waiting for the pictures, sending out the thank yous, let's see, get just like thank you cards, going through the gifts and reading those back and forth, cleaning up afterwards. Like that was that was so a magical time because you could see how it ended up turning out and the memories that came with that from like the night before. So I think it all depends on where you are in life. I know that there are some people out there that don't really have, let's say, a fancy for their wedding and they're just kind of doing it and they're happy with what it is and they go from there because they're focused on their career or different aspects of their life or children or a home or you name it, it's possible, and then people like me who are infatuated with weddings, love doing the floral design, um, just have like, I don't know, I feel like a different expectation for how long you think it should last. I'm glad that we didn't wait super, super long, but there's a little part of me that wishes it did last a little bit longer, at least the planning process, because I got to a point where I was like, well, there's like a month and a half left and everything's planned and I can't do anything until a week of because it was building the flowers, cutting the flowers, like I couldn't do anymore. Like it was that was it, the kind of thing. And I've spoken to a couple of our brides about it and like, oh, how are you doing? And I got a lot of, well, there's not a whole lot going on. So it's, just kind of where it's at. And not that they're like unhappy, but I told them I was like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. It's just that weird in between time where something's coming and it's so exciting, but you can't go get your hair appointment done yet because it's another week out. You can't, you know, get your dress steamed because it's not time yet. You can't go, let's see, get your final counts in. You can't like do these certain things. Because it's just not time yet. So I think that waiting period was probably my most exciting and the invitations. I had so much fun with my invites, with the envelopes. I got them off of Etsy, sent in from the Netherlands. They were hand pressed, recycled, like sage green paper. And I had golden hot glue, stamps, like the hot glue stamp. I'm sure there's a fancier name for it, but I had so much fun with them. So much fun. I learned how to Cricut with a pen. It was incredible. I had the most, like, so much fun doing that because I'm just a crafty kind of person. It was beautiful. Um, and I think at some point, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like there was a point where things kind of settled down after the wedding. And then people stopped asking how it went. The photos were sent out, and at least being in the floral industry and knowing that your time is gone, like you had your turn in a way. I joke with people all the time, like, I want to do it again. Like, I want to do it again. I totally, totally would do it again. Now, at least with the flowers that we have in the fall, I love our dahlias and I love where things are at, but I feel like the weather has really messed with our growing season. Like our summer stuff has definitely slowed up a lot. We're able to go into probably the beginning of November, where now it's cold. Like it's supposed to be in the 40s this week and it's October. This is like old season weather from like elementary and middle school. It is not this is old weather, but I'll take it because it's not 1,000 degrees still in the middle of October into November. Um, but I definitely feel like it's a time where you're not really lost, at least, but I think there's a certain breadth of time where you're like, well, now what? Now what do I do? Like there was this thing that I looked forward to all of my life. You dressed up as a bride, you had Barbie, and you played the like bride and groom. Like you ran around and played like wedding with your friends, and it was just a whole thing. And back to the flowers and the seasons, I'm really glad that I went with late spring. The weather was beautiful, and the flower selection that I had in the spring, like variety wise, amount wise, is nothing compared to the fall. I feel like we're starting to go out to the field and like, well, things are growing because we're waiting for cool season stuff to kick back in. The warm stuff has definitely slowed up. Um, but spring, no pun intended, they were coming through. We had tons and tons of flowers. The perennials were blooming. All of our annuals were starting to come in. So I don't know, it was a really good time. I'm really happy that I picked that. For those of you that don't know, I got married here on the farm right in front of my grandparents' house under a really old oak tree.
Hey guys, Lizzie here. I bet you didn't know this about me, but I am gluten free, and one of the things that I struggle with is going to the grocery store and finding the foods that fit my dietary needs. What I have been doing for the past couple of months is ordering from Hungry Root. Now, Hungry Root is an online company where you can order groceries off of their website. It's full of produce, crackers, cookies, to muffins, to meats, and all the different types of snacks and things like that. They have made my life so much easier in the process of finding foods that fit my dietary needs. There are filters that you can adjust, such as non GMO, dairy free, gluten free, paleo, different preferences, and things like that. So, what they have done for us, because they're such a generous company, the Hungry Root team has given us a 40% off discount code on your first box. So, if you use the code FLOWER40, and that's capital FLOWER 40 at checkout, you will get 40% off your first box. I'm so excited to team up with these guys. They've made such an impact on my life in the morning and to my day to day life. And I hope you experience the exact same thing that I do. All of the information will be linked down below, including the link to where it should already be pre applied to your cart when you hit the link and go to their website. And I will also add the code at the bottom for easy access in our show notes. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and enjoy your first box through Hungry Root.
My grandfather rebuilt and restrung the swing that I grew up with when I was a kid, and then I put flowers on it. He stained it, took care of the swing, and then we took a picture together. That was probably the most sentimental thing to me. That was important because he took his time. He went and like to the lumberyard and he picked out the wooden slab because he said the center knot looked like a butterfly. So I don't know, it holds a lot of sentimental value to me. Um, Now in the sense of, we'll go through ceremony and reception. So for ceremony, I had the flowers on the tree, I had the baskets on the ground with the pews, and did that kind of thing. And then with the reception, I had just farmhouse tables, wooden chairs. I had the, not rattan, but it's like the thicker, um, more like natural they kind of look like bamboo chargers. And then the sage green plates with the pretty silverware and all that. But I put compotes and candles, votives out, and bud vases. I think, now that I think about it, like some of the reception stuff I wish that I did differently. I guess in the sense of I could have put more effort into that setup, like the reception setup that I looked at the entire night, because the ceremony was like 30, 40 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Like from start to finish by the time people got there and we were done and walking down the aisle and it was cocktail hour. Um, I the ceremony was beautiful. It was perfect. Everything that I could have imagined. And the reception, I feel like personally, at least on the flower side, I could have taken more time. I feel like the compotes were rushed as much as I know that they weren't because I took Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to build everything because there's all of the prep, there's all of that. So at least in that sense, I think I would have done something different on the tables. I don't know. Maybe I would have regretted it either way. But even seeing some of the weddings now, like we did a floral wreath at a tasting in Ken Island, and it was stunning. It looked like something out of Bridgerton. We had really tall pillar candles in the center. So that was awesome. It was beautiful. The floral boxes were incredible. I only had one, two, three. I had 5 tables, so it really wasn't that bad. It was five tables, 10 people at each table, and then our sweetheart table. And the sweetheart table was just us repurposing stuff from the ceremony because I hate it when brides don't do that because you're spending so much money at your ceremony for these beautiful flowers for sometimes their ceremonies are only 20-30 minutes, and there's a little part of me that's sad because I'm like, the flowers are going to sit, what are you going to do with them? So I'm really glad that we've been able to push that a little bit more in that perspective. I think yeah, I wish I would have gotten more like creative with the reception space. I don't think yeah, I wouldn't change anything with the ceremony. Um, but yeah, I think there's definitely still some sad pieces to it. Like I miss that excitement. I miss the waiting. I miss the oh my gosh, aren't you so excited? Oh, and the welcome sign. My husband put that together. I painted it. I put our vinyl on it. It said "Where Love Grows." I saw that on Pinterest. I was like, that's exactly what I want. Very proud of that welcome sign. Um, Let me think. Thinking. So I don't necessarily know that I would change a lot. I think it was just, and it was hard for me to separate, even now, some of it is hard for me to separate work from the actual day because I feel like I missed out on some moments where I could have been more present in the sense of being with my family, being with my husband, kind of taking the time. And then I feel like that's kind of a double-edged sword though. Like I feel like I took too much time at like throughout the day, in the beginning of the day, waiting for stuff to be set up and being in the moment and then forgetting things for that. But then the rest of the day, like after the ceremony when all of that was starting, that was a blur to me. The whole day was a blur, but I really feel like that I was so focused on work stuff in the morning because I got up at 6:30 to do the tree, and then 6:30? No, I got up at 5:30. Yeah, I got up at 5:30. 5:30, woke up, did the arch, and then I finished that. I was getting other stuff straight with Kenley, God bless her. Um, and Casey too. Kenley and Casey were there with me. They were there with me early. And then yeah, we got that straight, came in the house, showered, and then I turned into the bride. So that was probably the hardest thing for me was actually turning into the person that gets the gifts, gets the attention, gets that like kind of turn because for everybody else, at least with like some of my other friends that have gotten married and we've done their flowers, I was their go-to for cake stuff. At the one wedding, I kind of turned into like a wedding planner person, was like, this is the lineup, you stand here, you do that. And I guess just because I'm in the industry, it comes naturally because I've been and seen so many weddings of people that I know and people that I don't know. Um, yeah, I feel like when the excitement is over, it kind of feels like a letdown. But I think that's okay because it just means that you're moving on in life. Like it's almost like a healthy letdown. Unless something terrible happened family wise, the DJ was awful, something happened with the food, or some crazy like rom-com catastrophe. Um, Unless it was something like that, I feel like it can sound like it can be difficult to get out of bed, or you're missing that part of your daily routine that you've had for months, for years now. Like it became a part of my life. Like it felt like a second job. It truly, truly felt like a second job. So add, you know, my wedding stuff of invitations, people, talking to the vendors and doing all that. So meanwhile, while I was doing that for myself, because I'm in the floral industry, I was also doing that for other people. So leading up to our wedding day, it turned into me trying to separate my wedding stuff to our customers' wedding stuff. And everything was fine. We have a great team and they helped me out. We got the other customers straight. And it was just a very, very interesting, like, how do I want to put this? It was a very interesting way of being in the side of the customer, but still being the vendor for our customers. You know what I mean? Like, and I know it's a luxury, and I'm so incredibly thankful for my job and what I do and what I'm continuing to do. I wish I had more of a customer to vendor interaction with some of the things because I feel like I missed out on explaining my perspective and explaining things to a T, where there are a couple things that I wish I did differently, but I'm not gonna mention them just because of knowing the vendors and keeping things kind of to myself because I think keeping things private is okay. I've probably shared more on here than I ever thought I would, but it just weddings are my life, and when it finally was my turn, that's all I wanted. And then just like that in a blink of an eye, it was over. And it's taken me a little while to fall back in love with the gym, fall back in love with taking my time on things, feeling like I'm a part of a relationship and not just focusing on wedding stuff. Because I honestly feel like I was a little absent in that area for a bit because I was so focused on wedding things, which to each their own, it might be different for everybody else, but it definitely, looking back on it, I think it hit me a little bit like more different because I've seen a lot of things in the industry and it can definitely put you into like I don't want to say depression, but in like wedding blues, like post wedding blues, we'll call it that. Um and if you guys are ever thinking or questioning how you're feeling after the wedding, um, talk about it. Look up some stuff online. Keep listening to this podcast if that's what you're feeling. But what I would recommend is definitely reaching out to your friends. All those people that were there at the wedding were my closest family and friends, and they have helped me, kind of keep up with life, go through summer, go to concerts, still having fun. Um, and then keeping communication clear, like specifically with Josh, I had to do a really good job of communicating and letting him know, like, hey, this is happening, or I might need your help with this, or something like that, because to me, it was work. Like, that was my job. The floral stuff was my job. The wedding was my job. Um, and I don't know what I'd do without that man, because he has helped me so much. And of course, make sure that you're sleeping and eating. There's a healthy way to be able to get through the wedding day. You want to make sure that you eat. Um, it's a side of, or it's a small part of my life that I didn't think would hit me as hard as it did. And I feel like now, especially because I've been able to talk about it, I've been thinking about doing this topic for a couple of months now, and I didn't want to because it made me sad. And now I feel like I've accepted it in a way. And going back and looking at photos, like they're incredible, and I look back at them every day. And I know people are against, having phones out in the ceremony, but I asked a couple people to record it because one, I know all of them. It's not like it would be a surprise. And I can go back and listen to it. I love the photos, being the amount of times that I replay our vows or our ceremony music or song or reactions or anything. I do that all the time, and it just makes me so happy, and it gives me so much peace, and it makes me calm. Um, so if you are feeling that way, don't ever feel like you're the only one. Please don't ever feel like you're the only one. Make sure you take your time with the wedding stuff and give yourself some grace in making decisions. At the end of the day, it is the two of you getting married, and make it about yourselves. I think that's one thing that I wish I did more, was be more selfish about your day. Be more selfish, be more assertive. If you have a plan or you have an expectation of someone, tell them, and tell the other people if they're ruining something. Keep your foot on the ground. Get what you want, because you don't want to ever regret something that you wish that you did. Or even if you know what it is and you don't speak up, you're gonna think about it. Trust me. There's a couple other things that I could definitely talk about, but they are not podcast appropriate. So we'll have to save that for like a different time. So I wanted to say thank you guys for tuning in with me for a little quick 20 to, it'll probably hit just almost 30 minutes. Um, yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to sit and listen. I hope your trip to the grocery store, to Target, your time when you're cleaning the house, let's see, what else can you guys be doing? Walking outside, running, exercising, doing something. Whatever aspect of your life that I was a part of, I hope that I made you feel a little bit better. You know, it's what we're here for. We're here to talk and be silly and have fun. But thank you guys for being a little part of my life, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of story time. So, thank you guys, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye!
Hey guys, just dropping a line to tell you about Patreon.
So I asked them, meaning Mom and Amber, what is Patreon anyway? Because I honestly had no idea. So we're going to explain it to you from our perspective so that you understand and so that I understand.
Because the first time I saw it, I was like, Patron, we're drinking tequila? Great. So Patreon is for less than a cup of coffee, those fancy coffees that y'all like, a day, you can sign up to become one of our members.
A little family.
Exactly. And what does that get us?
It gets us some freebies, some special episodes that other people do not get access to. You can interact with us on a special platform where we can ask you questions and interact with you. It's tons of fun.
Mm-hmm. And even on those special episodes, we might be less censored than we are already. And we're going to have a couple fun ones that we can just kind of throw in there and talk about and laugh and go on tangents and have fun. So I hope that you all enjoy it, because we're going to have fun along the way. We're crazy, crazy, crazy excited.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Back to the episode now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Gotcha!